Real Estate Rewired.
I'm joined today by someone who truly embodies the spirit of independence. She works for Four Corners Realty, where she has a reputation for not just moving real estate, but building community. She has years of experience navigating crazy markets up and down and crazy emotions from both buyers and sellers up and down, and navigating that with grace and enthusiasm. And I can tell from the little we've talked, a great spirit. So let's start with that, Sara. How you doing today?
I'm doing terrific. Planning for next year because you don't want to go into a new year without any lessons learned from the year before. So this is the time to kind of sit back and think about what it is that you learned and what it is that you want to take forward with you in the next year so that your clients are even more satisfied and your work is even more satisfying than it was the year before.
So I always like to start with this, Sara, because many of us didn't start out as little kids going, I want to be a real estate agent. What was your previous life before that? Where did the spark for this crazy career come in? And what was the moment where you went, man, I really love this. I want to do this.
Okay, so I'm a phone company baby. So I actually worked for the Bell system before it broke up. And I have done everything from cell telephones to climb telephone poles. And I credit my corporate background to really the discipline that I bring to real estate. I think that I really learned the skills there to understand how you need to be organized in a way that you are standardized and repeatable and predictable to your clients, which creates trust. From my phone company, went on to that to do consulting. I did consulting for many years, and I was a leadership coach and a negotiator coach. I actually helped negotiate strike resolutions in San Francisco between public transit and management. So I believe all of this background led me to real estate. And how I entered real estate was I retired young and then discovered that I was a lousy retired person. And somebody said, well, why don't you go into real estate? So I did, little knowing that the culmination of all the skills that I had would be brought to bear in this task and that I would find it more satisfying and really more fulfilling than anything I had ever done. So this is what I've been doing for 20 years.
Wow. And what do you still love about it?
That it's never the same job every day. It doesn't matter how many times you have addressed an issue, doesn't matter how many times you come up with a new buyer. You learn something new and different every day. And it gives you the opportunity to give back. At my age, I sound really ancient, I'm not, but it gives me an opportunity to sort of give back what it is I have reaped in all of my career. So I'm really enjoying the ability to get together with people, know them better, and serve my community in a new and different way.
And now, for our listeners, where are you based and where is your local market?
My local market is Miami-Dade County. I work specifically in Coral Gables, Coconut Grove, Brickell, Miami Beach, and Edgewater, those areas. So it's Metro Miami.
And you mentioned a lot of skills and a lot of jobs prior to real estate. So sort of pulling on those, what are the most important skill sets that you brought over from, was it the negotiating the contracts? Was it the processes? Like what parts of that have you really incorporated into your real estate career?
I think the most important skill I brought to this was listening, to be honest with you. Part of what I see people struggle with here is that they don't know what to say to a client or what to say to a prospect. And it's not about what we have to say as much as what our audience has to say to us. And so if you listen carefully, then you begin to understand what is expected out of this job for you. And I think that that's probably the most important skill I bring.
Interesting. And I've also, let me ask you this, because I did real estate in New York City for 20 years, mostly corporate relocation. And I'm wondering if there's a similarity. Let me get to the story here is I would have these high powered executives moving over from Paris. They had a $20,000 budget a month and they thought they were going to live like royalty. And all of a sudden they recognized, wow, 20 grand a month in New York from where I'm coming from isn't really, I got a tiny little closet and the kitchen really isn't updated. And I'm on the second floor and I'm facing a building and wow, there's this emotional dissonance from this is the image of who I am and what my ego says I should have. And then here's the reality of the compromises that I'm going to make. And to, as a real estate professional, navigate that emotional transition, in addition to it's a couple, there's kids, there's other dynamics involved. So speak to me a little bit about that. In your market, it would seem that that would be a really prevalent issue.
Certainly Miami's expensive. I'm not going to deny that. But it is also a growth opportunity. And so part of what I believe we as realtors need to help people understand is where the opportunity is in the market. So if you're coming here and you're not going to get as much as where you were before, what can I do to help you position yourself in a way that you can reach your residential, your lifestyle goals? That's part of what I bring to the party. Where is it closest for you to live to match where you lived before? Where do you like to spend your time? Or, for instance, if you're a person who likes to go out a lot, spend time eating in fine restaurants, the square footage of your particular home isn't quite as important to someone who's got 4 kids and has to have them at home all the time. They come home from school, you need a place that you need a backyard, you need all kinds of other things. So it's a question of getting to know your buyer and helping them position themselves for success as they go forth in this market. Once people move to Miami, they love it here. And it's a question of getting started in some cases. In other cases, not at all.
So let me ask you this, with your background in corporate and process, technology in real estate 20 years ago when you started is vastly different. I mean, that was pre-Zillow, right?
It was pre electronic contracts. We used to have to fill them out in Crayola. Mm-hmm. But yes, we actually, when I started, it was pretty much the dark ages.
So I'm curious as to how you've integrated the new technologies. Like, what process do you have both internally and externally to sort of identify, hey, this is where it's going. This is what I need to put into place right now. Hey, this is a shiny new whistle. I don't need that yet. Like, do you have a process either internally or actually where you sort of determine how you're going to integrate new technologies into your workflow?
Absolutely. And I think that goes hands in hands with creating a budget so that you know what you're prepared to spend on technology, mm-hmm. what your investment level is. And so every year, this is the time of year I do it, where I sit down and I look realistically at what's available. The mm-hmm. first thing I do is I look at all of the free resources for learning. Mm-hmm. Everybody out there in real estate there's so much technology that's available now, and it gets introduced for free, that if we don't take advantage of going to those free seminars that say, hey, look, let me show you my particular bent of technology. Let me show you my CRM, the way I reach customers. Let me show you my lead generation process. If you are not aware of what's out there, that's a deficit. So from there, from actually learning at the free level what's available, you can start to pick and choose what's going to work for you. Mm-hmm. There are resources available here that are amazing to do research with. And I think that the more educated we are, the more we can pick and choose what works for us, and the more we can serve our client base better. Now, having said that, I would tell you that the first thing that I'm doing now that I did not do 20 years ago is I read news headlines religiously every morning. I read about real estate. I have a time set out between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning every day where I read about real estate trends in the world, and I read about real estate trends in my area. And that allows me to separate what's sensationalist versus what's real and what's important for me to pass on in terms of knowledge. So it's not only the technology piece, but it is adjusting yourself to knowing that there is so much going on in the world that particularly affects Miami, since we have so many international buyers, that you need to do both sides, the technology and the news piece. And you need to be open to learn both.
And listen, there's time and there's limited amount of time every day, right? And as a real estate professional, you have a lot of incoming. How do you structure that? Do you do it? Is it once a week? Hey, I know that you're doing the news every day, but in terms of instituting new technologies, is it like, hey, when there's a seminar, I'm going to look into that? Is there a time each day or each week? Like, how do you incorporate the speed of how things are changing?
That's a good question. I learned this from the broker that I'm working with now at Four Corners. I'm going to give him a plug, Bragi Sergetson. The man is a genius. And one of the things that he said is the earlier you get up, the more time you have to dedicate freely to what you want. So I actually have a learning time in the morning blocked out, and I do that every single day. Now, some days it's just reading, some days it's taking in a seminar, some days it's watching stuff that's on YouTube, but I actually have a plan, and I want to improve in a couple of different ways. Number one, making my services more efficient to my clients. So that involves what kind of mechanized, what kind of automated systems do I have in place to communicate not only with our clients, but to serve them through the contracting process. So I do that. I also do research on social media. What's trending on social media, what's not, what should we be paying attention to, who's looking at real estate videos, who's not. And those things, in order for me to put out my social media, it's important for me to know what's out there. The other thing is, I look out in what is trending in other industries. So let's look at what automation, what manufacturers are doing, because eventually that's going to come around and hit us. So I try to keep three things in mind. What's going to make my process more efficient and client facing? What's going to make the news more accessible for me so I can share with others? And then the third piece is what's out there, what advances are happening in business and technology that haven't reached real estate yet, but will eventually reach real estate, because it all does. And how do I adapt myself to be an early adopter? And I do that in the morning before other people wake up.
Yeah, well, that's the one advantage of being older than 25, shall we say, if both of us are in that realm, that's safe, is we tend to get up a little earlier. You know, me too. And I got to tell you, I don't know if you find this, Sarah, my most productive times are, from 5 a.m. till 11. I mean, that 6-hour window. And so here's the thing that I find interesting. So I was watching a podcast or listened to a podcast recently with Demis Hassabis, who's one of the founders of Google DeepMind and brilliant guy. And then his partner, Shane Leggs, I don't know. Anyway, they were defining AGI, artificial general intelligence, and there's a lot of different definitions. But one of them was any cognitive task that any human being could do, the machine will be able to do.
I believe that.
Right now it's very jagged, but mostly it's in the realm of, ironically enough, anything that can be done on a computer. Any buddy that's spending their life sitting on a computer, talking to people, doing things, that's going first. The plumbers are going last because to figure out how to get a machine to unscrew that screw is a whole different animal. But what I'm interested in is the people that I see that are really doing this well, really identify what are the repetitive tasks that I'm actually doing on a daily basis. Which of those repetitive tasks can I outsource to AI? And as importantly, not getting too far ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Because what are the dangers of, and I'd like to talk to one of these guys, get him on the podcast, AI voice agents. How does an AI voice agent respond if the consumer on the other end uses racist language, uses fair housing violation? Is that thing going to go off track and say something that then goes viral? Then who's responsible for that? So there's also this not getting too far ahead of the technology as well.
Well, I think there's a difference between integration and abdication.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that a lot of people that I'm seeing now in real estate are abdicating responsibility to AI. You know, let's have an AI person come in and talk. They'll do an avatar of me and they'll talk, and I never have to deal with that. That to me is abdicating responsibility to something that doesn't feel, see, or touch, and that's where the danger comes in what you're describing. If you're going to integrate AI, you have to be responsible for managing it, not the other way around. And I'll give you an example. When I write an article and I use AI, my job is to do the input of all of the information I want the article to have. And then I'll say to the AI things like, please research and find 4 examples of this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Please find me the trend involving this and let me know over the last 5 years how many of these widgets were sold. That's important because it saves you time, energy, and allows you more face time with your client. But if what you're saying to your AI is, please do this completely for me, you're missing the boat. And when people are talking about getting replaced by AI, that's what they're talking about. To me, Zillow's great. I love clients. Hey, I've looked at these 16 houses before I came in. Thank you. I love that. Why? Because that gives me a basis of conversation with my client. I don't feel threatened at all by people who use Zillow or Realtor.com or whoever and then come to me with a set of questions. Because I know that with my experience, I can answer them more completely, more thoroughly, and with more heart. And that's what people want. Remember, in the end, all business is personal. Mm-hmm. So you cannot abdicate the personal touch because that's the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you use the deep research function within ChatGPT or Gemini?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And isn't it amazing when you see it? I'm reading this blog and I'm going over here and I'm doing that. And, you know, I did that where I went in and I did a deep research, and I do it every 3 months or so, about what are the top 1% of real estate brokers in the country doing that the other 99% are not. And it's amazing when you look, and this is where it gets exciting to me. You know, Compass goes out and spends, I don't know, $10, $12 million to buy contactually, specifically for speed to lead, client reactivation, predictive analytics, drip marketing. And now we realize, like, wow, we can do that for a lot less than that.
Absolutely.
And what about what they're doing can we reproduce? And here's where I get excited by it. A lot of these tools that you see, you really don't need 100% of it. You don't need the Ferrari, right? You just need 10% of it, which you can either get for free. But I find it's the implementation and the actual doing it that where a lot of times it's the practical reality of, okay, now I got up in the morning, how do I do this other thing? Or how does AI do this for me in a way that allows me to spend more time in front of people?
Well, and I think the key to that is discipline. I mean, it's not so much doing something perfect. I have a friend that does social media marketing, and hers is better done than thought about. Get it out the door. And if you're going to miss a deadline, she would rather you put something out in social media that's not perfect. Better done than perfect. And I think that this is key to me. I think one of my key learnings from 2025 was it's not necessarily the fact that you're brilliant every time out, but it is that you're consistent and people see you and people expect you and they know that once a week they're going to get information on something. Once a week they're going to get a picture of a house and a recommendation below it. Once a week they're going to do that. And I actually am going to share with you here.
Let me see.
There you go.
Wow.
I don't know if you could tell. Well, you can't see that.
You have a calendar there with what I'm assuming those are your
That's
posting.
exactly what it is. This is my monthly calendar and this is actually, it's a weekly calendar. It goes out. This is the article I put out on each day. And I have a theme and it goes out every day. Now, what helps me do this as a discipline is that I have AI tools that will help me produce, research, encapsulate. I do the writing, and then the AI will help me schedule and put it out. So,
well, here's the other thing I'm curious. So, obviously, you mentioned, and what was his name again from Four Corners, the broker that you really admire?
Raji Sergetson. Yeah, he's a great guy.
So, here's the other thing, right? There's tools that our brokerages provide for us. And then there's that some of it you may find useful, some of it you may not find useful. And then there's things that you're going to be doing on your own. So how do you navigate those two worlds of using what works for you from your brokerage, but then having your own process that enables you to do the amount of deals you're doing?
Well, I'm lucky because I work for a brand new company. We're a boutique company and we're putting in place a whole set of systems and procedures for people so that it's easier for them to do business than more difficult. And all of the tools we have in place are optional. The difference is that if you don't use them, it's just that much harder for you to succeed. So there's nothing mandatory in our company except what's statutorily required by law. But there are lots of things available, and we don't force anybody to use them. But
and how many? I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
But we do show people the success behind using a tool. I mean, those of us that take advantage of all the tools are further ahead in our business than those who don't.
Got it. And how many agents are in Four Corners?
Right now, we have 11.
Got it. And how did you end up in Miami?
I'm a California girl. Well,
yeah, I know. It seemed like you weren't. Go ahead.
I lived in California for a bunch of years, and when I retired, I thought, let me slow down and go to the East Coast. So we moved to Asheville.
Oh.
And that was a bit slow for me. I love Asheville. It's a beautiful city. Miami called me. It's part of my culture because I am Latin. And so it's wonderful living here because puedo hablar español todos los días. And so I make myself available to a larger audience. It's a cultural fit for me here. You can do something each one of the 24 hours and not be bored. So there's a city that's got something for everyone.
Got it. It spoke to you.
20 high school friends that live here.
Oh, and what do you guys get together on a regular basis?
Last time I got together was Saturday night.
Uh-oh. And do you have like a standard thing you guys do, or you just get together and eat?
We get together, eat, jabber in several different languages, and, kind of have a meeting of the minds. We have friends that speak English, Spanish, French, and various combinations thereof, and we just get together and, have drinks and a good time.
So let me end with this, Sara. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
If right now, let's just talk about the market a little bit.
Okay.
In Miami right now, if you're thinking of selling, there's different price points. There's different. How is the market down there for sellers right now?
For sellers who are realistic about what their property has, and by the way, that's not a seller in the world, but sellers who are willing to take counsel on how to prepare their particular family home, condo, unit, investment property, for they're willing to take counsel as to how to price and how to present, market's good. Market's good. Houses are going on and off the market. I still see houses that go on and off the market in 48 hours. So that happens. What is happening is that the market itself is kind of settling out. And so the price of a potential house is not what you paid for it plus what you put into it plus what you want to get out of it, but what the market, and I always say the agreeable price is that's which one it reaches between buyer and seller. If you can shake hands on a price, that's the right price to sell the house. So people now in our market are looking for houses with a couple of characteristics. Nobody wants a project. People want to buy, they want to move right in, they want to have a comfortable place to live without doing a lot of work. So if you have that kind of a product available, it's moving, and it's moving quickly in Miami. And I'm here to help you do that.
And buyers, what advice would you give to buyers right now moving into the market for the first time?
I would tell buyers that you marry the house, but you only borrow the interest rate. And so not to pay attention to interest rates because they will always change. What goes up must come down. What goes down must go up. And so it's one of those pay me now or pay me laters. I have some buyers that are had for 5 years. 5 years ago, they saw the perfect house and didn't buy it because they wanted to save some more money now. And 5 years ago, houses, have gone up 30%. So they're now 30% behind where they should have been had they just bit the bullet. I think there's an alchemy. In some people, I'm glad when they don't buy because I don't think they could stand the emotional upheaval of thinking they paid too much for a house. But for buyers now to be realistic that interest rates will go up, they'll go down, but the value inherent in the house, if you're planning to keep a house for 5 years or longer, bite the bullet and buy regardless of the interest rate because you'll make it up.
Got it. And I know you're a bit of a news junkie, so you're getting on there each morning, seeing what's going on internationally and nationally.
You bet.
So for our international buyers coming into Miami, what are the red flags? What are they thinking? Not to get political, but has that been an element in people thinking of moving? What's happening in that realm?
It has been political. I mean, some people are afraid to move, but what international buyers are finding here is that this is the safest place to put your money. So for buyers, there's a couple of things in the international realm. I'm finding that new projects, new construction is very popular because it affords an international buyer the opportunity not only to buy now, but by the time they can move in 2 or 3 years, moving into something that's worth a lot more than what they paid for it. There are new construction projects here that are offering people the HB2 visas, which are a wonderful path to residency. And it allows you to put money in that would otherwise be invested in a business into a property and have that affordability come in as well for residency. So there are a lot of advantages to buying in Miami right now if you're in the international scene.
And finally, if you could wave a magic wand and have one part of your process or business be systematized or solved or taken off your plate so that you had more time, what would that look like for you?
Probably the most important thing is I have a 2,000 person database, and I need a better way to sift through them.
Got it. And
I would like to be able to parse my database and say, oh, I know these 5 guys are looking for investment property out of the 2,000. I found a perfect property. Let me send it out to them because they would really appreciate that information. Or if I had if I knew that these people are interested in 5 bedrooms, so that every time I didn't have to make that mental connection with 2,000 people. Sometimes it's hard to remember exactly who's in your database and what they're looking for. So I would love to be able to be more custom focused as I find opportunities and share them with the right people.
Well, that's a conversation we'll have separately, because
Okay.
that's the sweet spot of where where a lot of predictive analytics and all those kinds of things are.
Absolutely.
But what I will say, Sara, is I'm committed to, at this point in my life, only working with people that I like. And it doesn't mean that anybody's better or worse. It just means energetically, some people you feel comfortable with and others you don't. And I've felt especially comfortable with you having this
Thank you.
conversation.
Me too.
Yeah, so thank you so much. We'll end it there, but before we do, don't hang up. How do people get in touch with you, Sara?
Okay, well, I'm very easy to get in touch with. You can find me on Facebook under Sara Mullis. You can find me on my website under Sara R, as in relative, Mullis.
Or real
And
estate, R as in real estate, we could do that too.
R is in real estate, Mullis. And you can reach me, Sara at fourcorners.com. That's my direct email. And my phone number, lots of ways to get a hold of me, 305-781-4320.
Well, Sara, this has been an absolute delight. And for all of you watching the show, I hope you got something out of this. Please hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, just reach out to me. And remember, stay with the heart. That's where the fun is. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
If you've got value from today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. If you're ready to turn what you love into your superpower and take what you hate off your plate, schedule your free AI discovery call. The link is in the description and pinned comment. I'm Gus Waite. Until next time.